Ready to hit the pause button on your parenting fails? Ready to feel better about your parenting? Welcome to Parenting Pause, the podcast, where all of you is welcome. I'm Leslie Potter, the founder of the Pure Joy Way, a mother, a parent coach, and a fellow traveler on this journey to wake up in our parenting. And I believe together we can make this a better world for ourselves and our kiddos. I know many of us want to create harmony in our home. Yes, I know that was a huge one for me. And yet I didn't quite know how to create harmony inside with my internal state. So today I want to share a little bit about my view of attunement. And we hear about attunement often in attachment parenting. And the way I kind of see attunement is that we open ourselves to our child's emotion and their energy. So what this does is that we open our own bodies, so we start to have an internal experience of what is happening externally. So I want you to take that in for a moment. So let's say, as an example, your child is feeling powerless because they wanted something and you wouldn't give it to them, or they couldn't get it. And so they start to express the intensity of their powerlessness through hitting or biting or yelling or throwing a tantrum. If you're attuned, you will be opening yourself to these emotion and that energy. And it can be very, very, very intense, especially if as a child you had those feelings and you learned strategies to get rid of those feelings or get away from them. You may have wanted to fix them, change them, avoid them, repress them. These are all ways that we learn to work with our energy, especially when our emotions and our energy cause distress in our caregivers, because when it did, often they would withdraw love or they would take something away. So as children, not even consciously, but even unconsciously, we begin to manipulate ourselves and not live so deeply out of our self-expression or our truth. We began to form our identity in the way we worked with our feelings in relation to our caregivers. So we didn't really have a stability as children. We weren't able to sit down in a stable place and not ride all those waves of feelings that were happening. Now, as adults, of course, we want to create that stability for our children as they begin to ride the waves. And yet, if we don't know how to create that stability inside, we're going to quickly move to our strategies internally. And most likely, we're going to judge the feelings or the behavior. We're going to try to fix it. We're going to try to change something outside in hopes that it's going to support the inside. Now, it takes a lot of courage. I know it did for me. And that's why I created the safe seat process. And if you don't know what that is, you can go over to the website, purejoyparenting.com, and I have a 5-day little video course on how to use the safe seat. Because the safe seat for me became a place of stability where I could go when I felt and attuned to those intense feelings that my child was passing over, or that we were, giving to each other. And so instead of playing out my old strategies, which I did early on, of course, I would want to fix her or change her or talk her out of her feelings. I mean, I had many, many strategies because it was counter-instinctual to go back into those very intense feelings that as a child I had worked so hard to get away from, yes? And yet I recognized that I didn't have any stability to offer my child, right? I wanted her to know that these feelings came and they went. They were like waves in the ocean, that they weren't who she was. But I didn't know that was true for myself. When I felt rejected, I identified with that I was a rejectable person. So the safe seat became this like a raft in a way in the middle of these crazy waves. I could go and I could get, or a little island, I could move into my safe seat and I could find the stability where I didn't get lost in my past memories or I didn't get lost in all my strategies. And I could ground into the stability of that I was okay. She was struggling, her wave was moving. I had felt it with her, but I knew that I was stable. And the more that I was able to do that, the more I was able to regulate my intensity and keep giving my daughter this ground or this base. I became the safe seat for her. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does, because this was the most critical piece I found, because I read everywhere I was supposed to support my child in regulation. I was supposed to help my child. I was supposed to, by naming their feelings, by being with them, but I couldn't. I mean, I felt like such a failure in my conscious parenting journey because I didn't know how to find that stability in myself. I also believed when I felt powerless that I was powerless. And when I felt rejected, that I was rejectable. I identified with that being true. So, of course, I couldn't be a stable force for my daughter when she was riding her waves. Thank you for listening to this episode of Parenting Paused. If you enjoyed the episode, do me a favor and share it with your mama friends. You can also leave a review wherever you listen, which will support getting the Pure Joy message out. Come on over to the Pure Joy Parenting Practice Facebook page or join me on Instagram to hear more. And don't forget to download your free copy of the Safe Seat course on the Pure Joy website. And while there, check out the offerings page to go deeper in the Pure Joy work.